Michael Scofield was a genius, but more than that, he was an enigma. Every step he took inside Fox River seemed perfectly calculated, yet there was always something deeper beneath the surface. He wasn't just carving tunnels and plotting blueprints. He was building connections, saving lives, and earning the trust of men who, on paper, were some of the most dangerous criminals in the prison system. But here's the question that has divided fans for years. Were those bonds real, or were they just another part of his strategy? Did Michael truly care about the men around him, Sucre, Abruzzi, C-Note, even T-Bag? Or were they simply tools in a grander plan to save his brother Lincoln? Because inside Fox River, every smile could be a lie, every friendship could be a manipulation, and every act of kindness could be nothing more than a move on Michael's chessboard. And yet, at times, his humanity shined through in ways no strategy could explain. We're pulling back the curtain to explore the truth. Did Michael Scofield genuinely care about his cellmates? Or were they pawns he was willing to sacrifice on the path to freedom? Fernando Sucre wasn't just Michael's cellmate, he was his anchor inside Fox River. Loyal, kind-hearted, and driven by love for his girlfriend, Mary. Sucre was exactly the kind of man Michael needed by his side. But the question is, did Michael pick him because of who he was? Or because he was useful? The truth lies somewhere in between. From the beginning, Michael saw Sucre's honesty and his ability to keep quiet. He wasn't a man who had betrayed trust for power, and that made him invaluable to the escape. But over time, their bond grew into something more than strategy. Michael didn't just rely on Sucre, he protected him. He encouraged him to fight for Veracruz, reminded him of the life waiting for him outside, and even risked altering parts of the plan to give Sucre a chance at a real future. The line between strategy and friendship blurred. He may have started as a useful ally, but he became something deeper, a brother in arms. Someone Michael genuinely cared for in a world where caring could get you killed. And that's what made Sucre different from the rest. He wasn't just part of the plan, he was part of Michael's heart. John Abruzzi, the mob boss, was dangerous, but he had the one thing Michael needed: connections and resources. Their relationship was never about trust or care, it was a calculated deal. Yet even here we saw cracks of humanity. Michael endured torture, even losing 2 of his toes, rather than betray his principles or abandon the plan. With Abruzzi, Michael wasn't caring, he was surviving, and it showed how far he was willing to go to keep the escape alive. Perhaps the biggest test of Michael's morality was Theodore T-Bag Bagwell, a predator, a killer, and the last man anyone would want in their escape crew. Michael despised him, but he couldn't get rid of him without risking exposure. With T-Bag, it was clear there was no care, no friendship, only containment. Michael tolerated him, manipulated him, and found ways to use him. If there's one relationship that proves Michael's cold side, it was this one. Some of Michael's relationships were more complicated. With C-Note, he formed an uneasy alliance, but always with an undertone of respect. With Tweener, the young and reckless inmate, Michael showed glimpses of empathy, but also calculated manipulation when he needed to. These side relationships reveal a bigger truth. Michael didn't want to hurt anyone, but he wouldn't hesitate to use people if it meant saving Lincoln. Compassion existed, but strategy always came first. But here's where the question deepens. Michael's care for his fellow inmates wasn't without a price. Every time he chose compassion, he was gambling with the success of the escape. Protecting Sucre when others doubted his loyalty. Comforting Tweener when the kid was scared and out of his depth. Or showing mercy to C-Note when the man's desperation for his family clouded his judgment. All of it carried risk. These weren't just small gestures. Each moment of kindness pulled Michael closer to being exposed, slowed down his timeline, and forced him to juggle loyalty with survival. And that was the paradox of Michael Scofield. His humanity made him a better leader, someone the others could follow with trust. But at the same time, it was his greatest weakness. Caring too much left cracks in his perfect design, cracks that others could exploit. He wasn't just managing blueprints and tunnels, he was managing hearts, emotions, and fragile loyalties. So was his care genuine? Yes, it was real, and at times, painfully human. But was it practical? Absolutely not. Because every act of compassion, no matter how noble, added weight to an already impossible plan. In the end, Michael's genius wasn't just in escaping Fox River, It was in carrying the burden of caring too much, even when it nearly broke him. Michael Scofield's relationships inside Fox River will always remain one of the most fascinating parts of Prison Break. They weren't simple, they weren't clean, and they certainly weren't black and white. Michael wasn't just a cold strategist, moving people like pawns across a chessboard, but he also wasn't a selfless saint who carried everyone out of kindness alone. He was both a man who carried empathy in one hand and ruthless calculation in the other. With some men, like Sucre, his loyalty and genuine care were undeniable. He risked the plan more than once to protect him, showing that friendship could matter even in a place built on betrayal. With others, like Abruzzi or T-Bag, the connection was purely tactical. Dangerous alliances born out of necessity, where Michael was willing to look the other way as long as it kept the mission alive. He cared where he could, and he calculated where he had to. And that duality was the secret to his genius. He could inspire trust while holding back secrets. He could sacrifice one piece of the puzzle if it meant saving the bigger picture. And in the end, it was this balanced compassion mixed with strategy that made the escape possible, because Michael wasn't just trying to free his brother. He was holding together an unlikely group of men, balancing their flaws, their tempers, their ambitions, and turning chaos into precision. That's what made him not only a mastermind, but a legend. A man remembered not just for the ink on his skin or the tunnels he carved, but for the way he walked the razor's edge between heart and survival.